Hello, everyone. Welcome back to what are we playing? Oh, welcome back to Dreambound. It's over, and the video already. We're back at Dreambound. We're in the past. I don't know anything. That's it. We're in Kaine's house, I think. Breakfast the following morning was awkward. It was an awkward, uncomfortable affair. Kaine's father was, as per usual, absent, having already left for work. That was what he claimed, but after the events of last night, Kaine wasn't so sure. Oh, right, Kaine had dream hopped or something at some point. He hadn't been sure about what exactly his father was getting up to in a long while, but he hadn't felt the need to voice his suspicions. He hadn't had any evidence anyways, and his father had always been a workaholic. That vision, or dream, or whatever it was, he had seen the night before suggested that his father had been doing more than just working in his plush, well-upholstered office. It felt so real. It felt like I was actually there. That wasn't just a dream, was it? Sorry, I remembered halfway through it was Kaine speaking. It can't have been. That had to have been real, somehow. Kaine thought as he poked at his breakfast of the blonde woman and the cherry red lips. He saw her pose suggestively on his father's desk, her chest heaving, big blue eyes fringed with long, dark eyelashes. Sorry you had to see that, my guy. Kaine hadn't been able to get a good look at her face, but he'd known instinctively that she was younger than his mother, younger than she had any right to be. She was probably closer to my age than she was my dad's. I had no idea he was such a slimy nerd. What a mess. Kaine's stomach felt as though it had been tied in knots. He pushed his food around on his plate, but he couldn't bring himself to actually eat any of it. He worried if he tried, he would be sick. Kaine, dear. Kaine's mother, noticing her son's poor mood, looked at him anxiously from across the table. Her brow furrowed with concern. Her whole face was furrowed. She couldn't hope to compete with the smooth-skinned blonde his father had been toying with, and her lips pursed. Are you all right? How could I be? This is gonna hurt you so much. Yeah, Mom, I'm fine. Are you sure, dear? You've hardly touched your breakfast, and you didn't eat very much last night either, come to think of it. That can't be good for you. You're a growing boy. You need to get more nutrients in you. You need them to fuel that fantastic brain of yours. She winked at him slightly, though all Kaine could do was look away in shame. It's fine. I'm just not in the mood. You aren't in the mood to eat? Kaine's mother raised an eyebrow. It's not like you at all, my baby boy. Is it not to your tastes? Do you want me to cook you something else? No, Mom, it's not the food. You know I always enjoy your food. I'm just feeling a little sick this morning. Well, okay. I'll put some extra money in your account so you can buy yourself a treat at lunch. You know, other mothers at your preschool would complain that their children never wanted to eat their vegetables, but not you. You ate everything I made you, and you asked for seconds. Your father and I couldn't have been prouder. Was my father ever proud of me? I'm not sure. Maybe he was once, when I was a child prodigy, at the top of my class without having to try. But getting straight A's stops being impressive when you enter high school. He can't be proud of me, or he would spend all of his time in the office. He can't be that proud of me, sleeping with his coworkers. Kaine? Once again, Kaine's mother looked at her son questioningly. You really are being awfully quiet. Are you sure you're just feeling a little ill? Kaine set down his knife and fork. He didn't want to shatter the uneasy peace in the dining room. But he couldn't keep what he had seen last night to himself, not for a moment longer. It would have felt unfair to his mother, keeping her in the dark when he knew. Though Kaine wasn't sure how he knew that his father had been playing her for a fool. Kaine knew that what he had seen last night could not have really transpired, but he didn't doubt similar scenes like it had. His father had betrayed the family, betrayed her. Kaine didn't know how long it had been going for, but he couldn't cover for his father, not on good conscience. Let's go, King. Period. Rat him out. That would make him complicit in his mother's humiliation, and he loved her too much to deceive her. Mom, this is a bit of a tricky subject, but he felt more ill by the moment. Hold on, let me readjust in my chair. Let me sit up for this crazy moment we're about to have. I think something's going on with Dad. What do you mean, dear? Meh, I'm dying. Help. Well, you and I both know he's not home much lately, and... Oh, yes, I'm well aware, but that's because of his work. He's been working very hard. Apparently his current case is rather difficult. Honestly, I can never do what he does. I'm incredibly proud of how hard he works. If you'd never do what he does, that's a good thing. I don't doubt that he's been working hard. The evidence for that was all around Kaine, his lavishly furnished home. His parents' wealth was well known, fact, among his peers. His home was nice, grand, and not ostentatious. I think I did say it right. And spacious alongside it. He was very lucky, really, but at that moment he didn't feel like it. A tiny shack filled with a family that loved each other suddenly seemed much more priceless than that big house filled with deception. He's been doing more than just working. I think you and I both know that. Yes, well, he stops by the bar sometimes before coming home to drink, but I'd hardly begrudge him for that. No man can work all the time. It'll wear him out. He deserves to let off some steam. If drinking was his only vice, I'd agree with you, but, Mom... Kaine swallowed. There was no easy way to say this, nor any means to lessen the blow with which would befall his mother. The amount of faith she had had in her husband was astounding, but there was something sad about it, too. She really does trust him. I guess she must love him a lot. Though why, I have no idea. I don't want to have to say this. I don't want to break her heart. Why do I have to be the one to do this? Mom, it might sound crazy. Why'd I give him that? It might sound crazy, but last night... I saw something. Something? Yeah, I saw Dad, and he wasn't alone. Dude, it was a dream. Please don't say it like that. He was with another woman. I think she's his employee, maybe a secretary. I don't know all the details, but... Kaine held his mother's gaze. He paused, mustering the courage he required to continue. But before he could lose his nerve, he said, I'm pretty sure Dad's been cheating on you. Silence filled the room, a terrible, thick silence. I'm sorry, Mom, but I saw it. Peace and love. Like, I agree, like, I'm fully that person where, like, if I figure out that you're cheating on your partner, I am gonna tattle on you so fast. If I'm friends with, like, if me and his dad were friends, but I wasn't friends with his mom, I would tell his mom. I would, because I don't do cheating. That's stupid. I'm not playing that game. That was a dream, and I do know now, well, even the dreams that, like, there's not a good way to be like, I saw Dad cheating on you. In my dreams, you know what I mean? I know he's leaving out the dream part, but still, it's a little hard to go about. Dear, I think you must be imagining things. Ah, look at the time. You'll be late for school. She smiled, but there was no happiness there. All Kaine could do was stand and nod and swing his bag over his shoulder. He walked to the door and then looked back towards his mother. She looked awfully small, sitting there at the dining table all on her own. Hey! Kaine hadn't slept much the night prior, but as soon as it transpired, he wasn't the only one. Noah looked similarly weary when Kaine met up with him that early that morning. Noah's hair was rumpled and his face looked far too pale. Is he all right? Maybe he stayed up too late last night. Was he with August? I wonder what they were doing. Kaine did not ponder this for too long, however, and neither did he ask. He wasn't sure if he wanted to know. Instead, with a light smile, he said, Well, look at what the cat dragged in. Noah looked at Kaine with bleary eyes and his lips pressed together. What are you talking about? You sure took your sweet time getting ready this morning. You kept me waiting. If we don't book it, we'll be late for school. Oh, Noah checked his phone, and then he frowned. You're right. Yeah, sorry. I'm usually right. Sure you are. Jerk. Oh, you know me so well. Kaine grinned and then nudged Noah good-naturedly to the side. Why were you so late, though? What kept you? And why do you look so tired? I had a busy night. Well, I figured. What was he busy doing, though? It doesn't help that my mom was getting on my case this morning, either. She was busy trying to marry me off to some stranger. What? Kaine stared at Noah, his eyes wide. Of all the things he could have said, I wasn't expecting that. I know his mom is pretty strict, but she can't mean to marry him off, surely. This is the 21st century. You heard me. Noah replied unhappily, still frowning. She wants me to get hitched. I heard you, but that doesn't mean I understand. What the hell do you mean? She wants to introduce me to my dad's boss's daughter. Or something. Dude. I knew his mom was strict, but geez, that's some next level controlling junk right there. That's something to spring on somebody, especially over the breakfast table. I know, right? I can hardly eat. Why would she think I gave a crap about our family name or whatever, enough to marry whoever she tells me to? Ugh, I feel sick just thinking about it. I take it you're not too enthused about it then. What do you think? Noah sighed. I don't even know this girl. I've never met her before. Why would I want to spend the rest of my life with her? Good point. I'd be freaking out if I were in your shoes right now. Believe me, I am freaking out. Yeah? Dude, you're looking as calm as ever on the outside. I never would have guessed. That's only on the outside. Internally, I'm screaming. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda want to see it on the outside, too. You want me to just start screaming? Alright, maybe not here. People will think that I'm murdering you in the mountains. Good point. Anyway, what the heck, dude? If this is a shock to me, it must be like 100 times worse for you. I couldn't think of anything worse than you, or well, anyone ending up in one of those loveless marriages just for status. But hey, you'll always have me. Even if they sell you off to be a trophy husband, I can be your piece on the side. What? Noah stared at Kaine, a blush spread across his face, cherry red as he scowled. I'm not actually going to get married. I'll never go through with it, no matter how much my mother presses me, so you don't have to worry there. And I'm absolutely not having you as my piece on the side. Shot down, and so thoroughly. I'm almost offended. Anyone would be lucky to get a piece of this. Kaine laughed and then jabbed Noah in the side with his elbow. Alright, how about this? I could always wear a little maid dress if that helps sweeten the deal. Would you like that? I don't even want to think about it. I really might be sick then. No. Kaine pouted. You're no fun. Did you know that? Yeah, you've told me that once or twice, yet here you are, still hanging around me. You make me look cooler. Shut up. God, when I do get married, if I get married, rather, I'd only want to do it for love. I don't care if my family disowns me. I'm not going to marry whoever they tell me to, just to keep them happy. That's no way to live. You really are such a romantic, aren't you? Didn't I tell you to shut up? Kaine and Noah continued their walk through the mountains, past the trees and bushes which fringed the dirt path. August usually walked to school with them to complete their trio, but it seemed he'd gone ahead today. It makes sense, given Noah had been pretty late out of the house. Still, Noah had spent all evening with him, didn't he? I wonder why he didn't hang about for him. Does that mean things went badly between them? Or does it mean that things went a little too well and now he's embarrassed? Man. Kaine spoke up, his voice mingling with his footsteps, largely as a means to break the silence which had fallen between him and his friend. I wish I could stand up to my parents like you do. I thought you were close with your parents. Well, with my mom, I guess. Right up until the point where I told her dad was probably having an affair, I mean. I don't know if she's very happy with me now. Not that I stuck around to find out. That'll be a fun thing to come home to. My dad's a different matter altogether. He's such a hard ass. Well, you're like the perfect son, so he can't be disappointed. Hard for him to be disappointed if he's not around, I guess. He wants me to go into finance or law or something, you know? I mean, I get that it pays well, but it just sounds so boring. He thinks any other career path would be a waste. It's like he doesn't care about what that I don't want to be stuffed into some boring government job for the rest of my life. And my mom's no better, actually, with that. I told her I wasn't too sold on the idea, but she said I should listen to my dad. He's a wise man, Kaine. He knows best. That's what she told me when I complained. But he can't be all that wise, otherwise he wouldn't be messing around with other women half his age in the office. It sucks, though. There's so much to do in the world. I want to spend my life rotting away in a boring... I don't want to spend my life rotting away in a boring old office. I think I'd rather die, actually. I want to do something that'll make a difference, you know? Or where I get to talk to a lot of people, or... Well, it's a pipe dream, but I'd like to cook more. Kaine's voice trailed off. Noah hadn't realized... Oh, got it. Noah hadn't, he realized, responded to any of his comments, not even with a nod or of the head, or a monosyllabic just to show that he was still listening. His eyes were glazed and looked unfocused, his head turned away from Kaine. Is he thinking about something? Hey, dude. Kaine nudged him in the side. Are you even listening? Huh? Loser says what? What? Kaine laughed and then shook his head. That hasn't worked since we were in elementary school. You really walked into it. Oh, Noah frowned and looked perturbed. Was he blushing? I'm sorry, I was just thinking about something. Like what? Kaine thought he had a decent enough idea what was weighing on Noah's mind, but it didn't hurt to ask. Like, this is like bad friend hours. He talked about his stuff that he was going through that made him feel bad. And then zoned out and didn't listen to Kaine. It's so frustrating. Like, I love Kaine so bad. I wish that he had more respect for himself. I really do. He needs better boundaries and stuff. But I love Kaine. I love him bad. And it just makes me so mad that this is the main character we get. Any second I get, I'm like, you're gonna love him. Friendship or otherwise. He's gonna be your friend. Nerd. Well, Noah tried to brush Kaine's question off, but Kaine didn't let him. I'm not going to let him wriggle away from me that easily. Kaine pressed Noah again until eventually Noah broke down. I guess I can tell you, but don't tell anyone, okay? Not anybody at school, and definitely not my family. Yeah. This probably is what I think it is. It's going to be about August. Oh well, I guess I should consider myself lucky you trust me enough to tell me. Even if I had to nudge him a little. I just need to try and look suitably surprised when he spills the beans. Why would I tell anybody anything? You can trust me. You should know that. If that isn't enough reassurance, however, Kaine grinned. Do you want a pinky promise on it? Please. Noah scoffed. Do I look 5 years old to you? You really want me to answer that? Wow. Maybe I won't tell you. No, I really need to tell someone. Sorry, I'm sipping. Kaine's, voice is low enough for me that it makes my voice really dry. I mean, August and I, Noah inhaled. And then after mustering his courage, he said, we kissed last night. The silence descended deeper than the ocean. Kaine had preempted this confession, but he hadn't realized hearing it would make him feel so staggered. I already knew that he liked August. It was obvious. This was a long time coming, so why does it hurt so much? Kaine? Noah looked at Kaine uneasily, unsettled perhaps by the silence. Are you, all right? What? Oh, yeah. Kaine shook his head and then flashed Noah a smile. Oh, that's a good thing, right? Is this something you wanted? Yeah, I guess. Kaine smiled and then ruffled the top of Noah's head. You don't sound too sure, but maybe that's because this is so new to you. It feels like it happened so suddenly. I feel happy, but confused, to be honest. I bet. I'm sure you'll get the hang of it in time, though. Dating, I mean. You're crazy about August, and it's obvious he likes you too. A lot. So, I'm sure things will work out well. They have to. Kaine inhaled. The air caught in his throat, and he felt like he might choke. But for Noah's sake, he had to keep going. I'm his best friend. I can't afford to disappoint him. He might have August now, but he still needs me. Happy for you, Noah. You don't think I'm weird? Did I ever say that? Kaine grinned. I think you're plenty weird, but that has nothing to do with this. There's nothing wrong with liking guys, especially not a guy like August. Half the girls in our class are in love with him. I wouldn't be surprised if a few of the guys are too. Why wouldn't they be? He's really great. Yeah, he is. Noah smiled, but it was a tentative smile, one which was marred by a blush. Together, Noah and Kaine walked through the mountains, their footfalls dull and heavy against the uneven ground. Kaine tried to make small talk with Noah as he walked, but his heart all of a sudden wasn't into it. His strange vision last night with his father had already been weighing on him, and this was yet another burden to add to his ever-increasing load. So, Noah and August, huh? It's not a surprise that things turned out this way, but... Oh, we're going. Eventually, Kaine and Noah made their way to the school gates. Kaine meant to head inside, but Noah hung back, his expression dubious. What happened now? Kaine glanced at Noah, a well-meaning query on his lips when... it's a dweeb again. Noah! A freshman. A nerd! I'm kidding. No, I'm not. Nerd! Nerd alert! Nerd. Okay, I'm locked in. A freshman, based on the look of him, given how baby-faced he was, darted forward to greet Noah, smiling broadly as he did. The kid was short enough that he could have been mistaken for a middle school student. I don't think he's that much shorter than you guys. But his uniform made it apparent he was one of their peers. Kaine didn't hang around with any of his underclassmen, but he thought he recognized him. Why does he look so familiar? Have we talked before? Wait, isn't that... Oh, and I guess your friend's here too. Silly me for forgetting about him. What's your name again? Kale? Kaine. Kaine, that's right. I'm so sorry for forgetting. I've always been awful with names. I'm such a dummy. I'm really lucky. I have such a kind, dependable senior like Noah here to help me out. He's only been in the art club for a day, but he's been really useful already. That's right. This is the kid I met the other day when I went into town with Noah. And he's the same kid who bumped into Noah in the hallway. I must have forgotten with all that stuff about August to worry about. I think his name's Luca? Oh, Noah hung back at this, abashed and glancing at his feet. I mean, thanks, but I don't really think I've done anything. Oh, but you have! Don't undersell yourself. I get the feeling my grades would get a lot better with you around to coach me. Your advice has been invaluable already. I don't know how to thank you, really. But that's enough about me. Did your friend here have a good birthday? Noah looked at the ground. Kaine didn't fail to see the way Noah's eyes darkened, as though filled with storm clouds. His expression, meanwhile, was taut and tense, like a man on edge. That's funny. He tends to reserve that face when he's talking about his parents. Or Asher. This Luca kid's pretty exhausting, sure, but he doesn't seem malicious. That incident in the hallway excluded. Did something happen? Yeah, Noah eventually replied after a pause. I think he enjoyed it. Oh, didn't we say she yesterday? And the present you got him. Did he enjoy that too? Yeah, it went down pretty well. Yay! Luca beamed, clapping his hands together. I'm so happy for you. I know you spent a really long time picking that gift out. It would have been heartbreaking if it was a dud. I know you care a lot about what your friend thinks. Luca giggled, and once again Noah winced. You'll have to tell me all about it later. I'm dying to know what happened. Maybe we should hang out after school sometime. Noah responded with a non-response, which was to say he was dead silent. Kaine was not failing to notice Noah's discomforted frown. I should probably step in. Sorry, but we've got to go, or we'll be late for class. We're cutting it pretty close already. You should head in too. I wouldn't want you getting in trouble. So you're looking out for me now? Wow, you're so nice. I'm lucky to be surrounded by so many kind people. Luca grinned. I'm giving him like this heavy, like sarcastic voice. Period. I wouldn't want to make one of my seniors worry, so I'll be a good boy and head off to class. I'll see you around, Noah. Bye-bye. What a jerk off. He waved theatrically and then headed off. I don't know if he's just, like, really gay or if he's, like... or if he's, like, mean. I mean, both, maybe, but... Kaine watched his... Got it. Kaine watched his departing back for a few moments, frowning before he took Noah's arm. Come on, let's head off ourselves. Kaine guided Noah into the school building, and Noah for once didn't try to pull him away. He looked spooked after that incident with Luca, so much so that there was something troubling about it. Seriously, what's Luca's deal? Why is he acting so overly familiar anyway? Noah only joined the art club the other day. There's barely anyone... They barely know one another. Maybe that kid's just friendly? But Noah wasn't being very friendly in return. And Noah's pretty mean up front. So if he's uncomfortable, something happens. Because Noah, like, first and foremost to most people, is mean. He's not nice, so... Kaine and Noah entered the classroom a couple of minutes before the bell rang. Noah took a seat at his desk and Kaine followed, his brow creased with concern. So, what was that about? What was what about? That kid, you froze up when you saw him like he's a lion and you were a gazelle. I mean, he's so tiny, it's almost comical, but... Did something happen? Did he do something? Once again, Noah fell silent. He looked down at his desk, his expression imperceptible? Sure. He seemed to be pondering something, thinking carefully. Knowing Noah, if he does have a problem, he won't want to bother me about it. It's nothing major, it's just art stuff. Art stuff? Noah nodded. It wasn't the most convincing reply, but if he doesn't want to talk about it, I shouldn't force him. He already opened up to me early about August, after all. It'd be unfair to me expect even more emotional confessions from him. Actually, you're best friends. Peace and love. I literally will walk into my best friend's room, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I stepped on this thing today, and now I hate the earth. I'm so, like, and I get that I'm just like that with my best friend. Like, I'm just very, like, look at my fifis. And she goes, wow. I know not all people are like that, but, you know, you guys should, if you're actually, like, troubled about something, you should be able to talk to your best friend about it. That's kind of cray. I don't want him to burn out on all this talking about his feelings stuff. Not when he does it so sparingly. But I do wish he would confide in me more. Alright, I get it. I'll let the subject drop for now, but you would tell me, wouldn't you, if something was wrong? I wouldn't be able to help otherwise. Well, of course I'd tell you. That should be a given. Stop fussing over me. You're already the mom friend. Alright. Kaine frowned, feeling indeed rather like a mother. Must after her child had waved aside an invitation to help. Is this how my own mother felt when I told her I was old enough to start tying my own shoelaces? It kind of stinks. Kaine smiled to himself as he took a seat at his own desk. August was right about me. I really am a mother hen. Speaking of August, this bespectacled, okay. Blonde had been in the classroom when Noah and Kaine had arrived. Hey. He'd been fiddling around with his phone, but he set it to one side to share a not-so-covert glance with Noah. Right. Noah returned it, and a telltale blush spread across his cheeks. Right. He was thinking about the kiss was he thinking about the kiss they shared last night? What else would he be thinking about? That must have been it. It would have definitely explained Noah's obvious lack of cool, but he's being so obvious about this. If he doesn't want people to figure out what's going on, he should stop turning beet red whenever he sees August. The whole class is going to figure out what's up before the end of the day if he can't get his act together. Kaine looked at his fingers, which were linked together on his desk. Then he sighed. Not that I'm much better, I guess. Staring at Noah like I am. I think I might be even more transparent. I guess it's a good thing Noah only has eyes for August, or otherwise he would have figured me out in a second. Alright, class, settle down. Kaine's thoughts were interrupted by the opening of the door, then Miss Rose's girlish voice. It's time to take the register. Is that what it says? Oh, it's gone. Time to take the register. Okay, cool, whatever. Now, let me see. Kaine sat up straight in his chair, his eyes transfixed to the front of the classroom. He knew it would be for the best if he didn't think about Noah. Sorry, buddy. But Kaine had to wonder, as Miss Rose made her way through the register, whether this was possible. Dude, I'm telling you. Me in high school would have been all over that. Damn, me now? Ugh. Ugh. That's like, that would like get me in the fifi so bad. Having someone so, not like, someone that cared about me as much as Kaine does, in a romantic sense, would be probably overwhelming, but I think it would also, at this point, be really nice. Like, I think it would be, I'd be like, oh, that's really nice of you. I'd be like, oh, that's cutie. So, I'm gonna get Noah. There's gonna be live footage of me getting him. I'm kidding, I'm joking. He can have feelings for whoever he wants. I'm playing. I'm joking. Anyways. Try as he might, though, he simply couldn't get Noah from his head. I'm sure he couldn't. Noah left the classroom and the lunch bell rang, and August followed not long after. Kaine thought briefly about chasing them, but soon discarded the idea. What's the point? It's obvious they have a lot to talk about. I don't want to be a third wheel. You're all friends. Dude, get in there. I'd only get in the way if I chased them down. Not that I even need to. I have plenty of friends I can have lunch with. Sure, I'm not as close to any of them as I am with Noah, but that's fine. I know people. I'm not lonely. This was Kaine's thought process as he sought out a couple of his friends. Kaine was relatively popular because of his good manners, good grades, and good looks. And he had integrated himself with almost everybody in the classroom. This small group was more than happy to welcome Kaine into their fold. Kaine pulled up a chair by their desk and sat down. Then he pulled out his lunchbox from his bag and began to eat. As he ate, Kaine tried not to think about Noah and August and what they might have done last night and what they might be doing now. But he was largely unsuccessful at this. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't help but wonder, what are they doing right now? Maybe they're having some big emotional heart-to-heart. If they really did kiss last night, there's got to be some emotional fallout they need to work through. Are they really a couple now? If they start dating, will I be able to spend time with them? Why would you not? You're friends. I know they'd never cut me out, not deliberately, but they'll be busy with one another. Will they be too busy to spend time with me anymore? Oh, buddy. Dude, I know I'm just that person. I'm so, like, if I have, like, I tell everyone, but especially if I had a partner, I'd be like, you're second. My best friend is first. My best friend is first. Thanks. Know your place. I know that's not everyone. It's just me, though. You're second. Know your place. Me and my bestie are always first. You can hang out with us. We can have our own little hangouts, but me and bestie, we're bestieing. Especially if we went to school together. Dude, quit playing. Melancholy thoughts swirled through Kaine's head, which undercut the taste of his food. He prepared himself an avocado and spinach salad, but he could barely taste it. Perhaps I should have used more dressing. Kaine pondered this, crunching leaves morosely when... Hey, you're just the guy I wanted to see. It's Kale, right? No, Kaine. Huh? Kaine turned his head, looking for the source of the cheery bleating. It didn't take him long to locate it. Maybe he's not as condescending as I think he sounds, but I don't trust that nerd. A sandy-haired boy. Sandy? Dude, that was red. Was standing at the door, his lips curved into a bright smile. Kaine recognized him. It was the same boy he'd met earlier outside the school. What was his name again? That is red, for sure. I don't know, a single Saiyan that looked like that. Luca? That's right! I'm so glad you remembered me! Wow! It's not hard to. You made quite the impression. Oh, I forget Kaine's like, nice. You made quite the impression. Kaine hadn't quite meant that as a compliment, but Luca still giggled. Oh, I thank you. You're very sweet. I think I'm being more sour lately, but whatever. What are you doing here? You're an underclassman, right? There's no reason for you to come by this classroom. You're right, yeah, but like I said, I was looking for you. You were? Mm-hmm. You see, there's actually something I wanted to talk to you about. Huh? Who is this kid? Do you know this guy, Kaine? In passing, I guess. We've run into one another a couple of times. Oh, you jokester. Luca giggled again while nudging Kaine in the side, an overfamiliar gesture which made Kaine's shoulders stiffen. Who gave you the right to touch me like that? Kaine and I are both friends with Noah. We've gotten really close to him ever since he joined the art club. Oh, sorry. What, so all of 2 days ago? Just how close can you be, anyway? I know Romeo and Juliet takes place over 3 days, but we all know that ended in misery. You'd think this kid would chill a little if he doesn't want to wind up getting himself into trouble. That's what I wanted to talk to you about, Kaine. About Noah? That's right. I thought you might want to know, as his friend, that he's been settling into the art club nicely. He's really, really talented. He's actually been helping me out a lot. If it wasn't for him, I'd be in a pretty tough spot. I really owe him one. Is that so? Is that all he wanted to say? Surely that can't be it. This kid's a walking hazard, dude. Well, good for him. I'm glad he's doing so well. I mean, he's hardworking, so I'm not surprised he's doing well. Okay. He is, yes. He might seem a little gloomy, but he's actually really nice. He's a really nice, kind guy when you can get him to open up. We're both best friends now, me and him. And I'll bet everybody else in the art club will fall in love with him too, once he starts talking to them a bit more. He's really cool, but it must be kind of hard for you. Hard for me? What are you talking about? Well, aren't you supposed to be Noah's best friend? I think I'd be kind of jealous if I were you. Now he's making so many new friends. Since he'll be busy with the art club from now on, he won't have as much time to spend with you. And since him and I are getting on so well, I'd like to hang out with him a bunch. That'll really cut into your alone time with him, though. It's such a shame. I can't take this nerd seriously. Kaine cleared his throat noisily and swiveled around in his seat, turning his back on the ever-energetic Luca. I'm sorry, but I think you've got the wrong idea about me. Do you really think so? I'm not so sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not some jealous boyfriend. I'm not gonna throw a fit because Noah's made a few new friends. In fact, I'm always telling him I'd like it if he'd make some new friends. I don't want him being too reliant on me, you know? Oh, is that it? Luca smiled, not entirely pleasantly. That's very altruistic? What does that mean? Altruistic. This song kind of slaps in like a really calm, vibing way. True. Yeah, what does that mean? Having or showing concern for the well-being of others. Not very? Oh, it is. Altruistic. Okay. I don't know if I'd like it myself if one of my favorite people got so busy with other people that they couldn't spare time for me anymore. Boo. It's like my sister. We used to be so close, and now she won't even look at me. How sad. He's a sister. I hadn't known. Not that I care. How is this relevant? Well, that's different. She's your sister. Noah and I are just friends. We're not family, so I don't need to keep an eye on him. I don't think he'd like it if I did that anyway. It'd make him uncomfortable. Just like talking about him behind his back would. Now, if that's everything, would you mind moving along? I'm trying to eat lunch here. Oh, yes, of course, of course. I don't want to interrupt anything. I just wanted to offer you my sympathy. My bad. Kaine glanced back at Luca flatly. He had a half in mind to tell the kid where to go, but Luca hadn't. He reminded himself, said anything inappropriate. Lashing out would only succeed in making him look like a bad guy. I guess I've got to suck this up. I can't say I like Luca very much, though. Something about him makes me feel uneasy. Yeah. And why do you think I need somebody to sympathize with me, huh? Well, I was just thinking, I'm a pretty perceptive guy, so I've noticed a thing or two about you and Noah. I can tell you like him a lot. You must be really, really good friends, but I'm guessing it must be hard. Noah's not just popular in the art club, he also spends a lot of time with that blonde boy. The one with the girly name. April, was it? You mean August? That's right, August. They spend so much time together. Even the kids in my class have started to talk about it. August was kind of a big deal when he transferred in. A lot of the girls thought he was cute, but they all lost interest when they saw he was always hanging around Noah. I do really feel bad for you. Isn't it tough being the third wheel in your own friendship? I mean, you were friends with Noah first. He's a nice guy, but I think he's being pretty selfish. It's like he hasn't spared you so much as a single thought. Luca's words might have been a light, just like meringue, huh? Oh, light, just like meringue. But there was a mocking undercut to it, which had made Kaine stiffen. Fuck yeah. I was like, I know I'm doing this like snooty little rat. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Is he making fun of me? This brat. What the hell does he know about my relationship with Noah anyway? He's only known Noah for a couple of days and barely knows me at all. Where does he get off? What are you talking about? You have to ask. And Luca smiled deviously. I think I've been pretty upfront. But there's a limit to how much I want to say, you know, in front of your friends. Luca glanced to the trio of boys who'd been sitting about the desk. Boys who had been listening in. Not so superciliously. Dude, they're hurting my feelings with these words. To everything Luca had been saying. I still have a bit more I want to say, actually, about this sorry situation. But it's a bit of a delicate subject. I don't know if it would be tactful blurting everything out here. Do you want to come with me? I want to talk to you about something pretty serious. Kaine's mistrust in Luca had yet to waver, but the words sunk in his mind. Dude, I surely would be like, whatever you're trying to say, I'd be like, dude, I can tell you're trying to get under my skin, and you're just wasting your time. You need to get lost. Even if he is getting under my skin, going with him would be the same thing as confirming everything he just implied right in front of my face. If we're all trying to be really secretive about these fifis, which everyone's doing incredibly poorly, going with him would just make it worse. So we shouldn't do that. But also, you have to turn him down in a way that's like, right. I'm like, dude, I don't know what you're wanting here. I get that you're trying to get a rise out of me or whatever, like, slay. Go off. I just don't care. I'm gonna be real. He's making new friends, period. He's hanging out with that guy that, you know, he makes him happy. Whatever, they're friends. Maybe you don't have any real friends. Not know what to tell you. Sorry. Buddy. Serious. Kaine didn't know what it was that Luca wanted to talk about, but if it's about Noah and it's serious, then maybe I should hear him out. I do have a few doubts, but perhaps if he's capable of spewing more than drivel after all. Sure thing. Lead the way. Right. Luca smiled at Kaine brightly. His grin was so sunny it almost seemed unthinkable that he could be up to no good. He looks just like a puppy, so eager to please. But I get the feeling there's a little more to him than that. What's his game? Kaine got to his feet after offering brief apologies to his friend, and then followed Luca out of the classroom. Dude, this is like a trap. This is like high-key a trap. Luca led him to a quiet hallway, which was deserted. What? And we're going to a hallway? Dude, there's like someone sitting around the corner recording stuff or something. Like, that's cray. Like, I would not go with this kid. I don't trust him at all. I didn't trust him from the second I saw him. I'd be like, I don't know what you're trying to do, kid, but your fake, pretentious, smiley shit is not working, my guy. Once there, I really don't cuss when I read the dialogue, and then I do it when I speak, and it's just I undermine myself, I fear. Once there, Luca then glanced about him, perhaps to check that the coast was clear. He's being pretty thorough about this. When Luca was certain that nobody was loitering about who might overhear them, he then looked back at Kaine. He smiled, his expression easygoing as per usual, and said, So, Kaine. I can call you Kaine, right? Kaine is fine. That is my name. Good. Why, it feels like we're friends already. Yeah, I don't know if we're close enough for that just yet. You're getting ahead of yourself. Oh, am I? Sorry. I have a habit of doing that. Rosamie always tells me I come on too strong with people. I can't help it though. I just want to get along with everybody. I just love people so much. X to doubt. X to doubt. Sure thing, Mother Teresa. Get him. What, are you supposed to be some kind of saint? I'd like it if we could all become friends in time. I think you seem like a pretty nice guy, even though you don't think very much about me. Which is why I thought I should tell you something. Oh yeah? What? It's about your friend, Noah, or more to be precise, the way you look at him. Noah? What is he talking about? Yeah! I don't know if you're aware, Kaine, but if you were, you probably wouldn't be doing it in the first place. I've seen the way you look at Noah, though. I've seen the two of you together a couple of times, but it really is obvious. You're always staring at him, just like a lovesick puppy. Do you have a crush on him? Kaine gasped. My guy, if you're gonna come out here and get mauled by the child, this prepubescent, little 14, little nerd is coming up to you and going, do you have a crush on him? I'd be like, no. We're just friends, dude. Like, I can't even trust you. If you're gonna come out here and get berated by a 14-year-old, you need to do more than not gasp when he accuses you of something that's definitely true, that you just thought about. The question had come out of the blue. He hadn't been expecting it at all. Really? That's exactly what I expected this nerd to say. His closest friend, the one who weren't Noah and Og as that was, hadn't even figured out how he felt about Noah. How would Luca manage it? I mean, as you said earlier, if someone just looked at you, they could tell. He'd only known him for a couple of days. Kaine stared at Luca, too shocked to speak. He gawped. Ow. Not at all intelligently, while Luca smirked. Guess that just about confirms it. I wasn't actually sure if you had a thing for him or not, but you're making it pretty darned obvious now, aren't you? I had no idea you could blush so much, a big guy like you. Oh, it's kind of cute. Hasn't Noah ever seen this side of you? What are you talking about? I'm asking silly if he knows. Did you tell him how you feel about him? No, Kaine responded as if on autopilot, but his sense eventually kicked in. How does he manage to let that slide? He had been keeping his feelings for Noah a secret for years, ever since the pair of them were in middle school. Noah had never realized how he felt. Girl, honestly, you could put that shit on your forehead and he wouldn't know. That kid does not notice anything. He is so stupid. Peace and love. Noah is an idiot, so of course he never noticed. He's self-centered too. And Kaine had never wanted to tell him. The thought had crossed his mind, of course, once or twice, but the moment Kaine considered it, he discarded it. He couldn't confess to Noah. Noah hadn't shown any signs of being interested in him. A botched confession might very well spoil their long-standing friendship. Kaine hadn't wanted that. Not when he and Noah were so close. I think I'm dying. Noah was the best friend he had. If Noah turned against him, Kaine didn't even want to think about what might happen if Noah turned against him. He didn't see why Luca wanted to talk about this, though. What's it to you? Whatever I feel or don't feel has nothing to do with you. We hardly know one another. My feelings shouldn't matter. They don't matter to me, certainly, but I'm a pretty open-minded guy, believe it or not, and I think people should be able to like whoever they want. I think your feelings for Noah are pretty cute, actually, but I'm sure they'll matter to him if he finds out about this. Don't you think he'd be freaked out? I bet he would. Now seeing that might be kind of funny. I'd like to see Noah getting all embarrassed. Huh? Kaine stared at Luca, his eyes wide in surprise. Dude? What are you talking about? You can't tell? I'm surprised. I thought you were supposed to be bleh. How am I supposed to be some, like, cocky little rat if I can't keep messing up the dialogue? Ree! I'm surprised. I thought you were supposed to be smart, Kaine. I know you're always on top of your year. You're a clever guy. But I guess you're not so clever when it comes to interpersonal relationships. You're so clueless. It's kind of adorable, really. Hey, who's clueless, you little crap? I'm not a fan of violence, but if you keep talking to me like this, I will bash your stupid, smug face, and I swear I will. Oh, but oh well, let's make this quick. I can spell it out for you if you really need me to hold your hand. Luca laughed, not at all pleasantly. The sound was noxious. He expressed it even more so. You're friends with Noah Kaine, or at least you're supposed to be. That's what Noah thinks. You've known each other for what, 10 years? More like 13. 13, huh? Luca whistled. That's impressive. Though, I have heard that 13's an unlucky one. It'd be rotten if anything happened between you and Noah when you're such good friends. But I don't know if Noah would appreciate it if he found out that all this time you've been only hanging out with him because you want a piece of him. Wouldn't that completely alter his perception of you? I'm sure it would alter your friendship at very least. He'd be so surprised. Might even be hurt. Luca's eyes narrowed. Or disgusted. Disgusted? Kaine stared at Luca, feeling more rattled than he would like to be. I know I'm old. I know I'm old, but I'm like, damn, what's this kid saying? I'm like, what, are you gonna blackmail me over fifis? Go tell him. Go tell him. See what happens. He's not gonna believe you. Noah lives in his own head. He will not listen to anything anybody says. Dude, his brother, we just saw it. His brother sat right in front of his face and went, you don't realize the relationship you two have and how he feels about you. And Noah didn't even pick up on it at all. You know what? Bet. Go tell him. Go tell him. Let's see what happens. You go tell him. I hope you do. Because the worst happens is he goes up to Kaine and Kaine goes, well, that's a lie. And then it's over. Do it, dweeb. He wanted to refute Luca's words, but the ability to speak had momentarily failed him. Couldn't be me. Anything he could think to say was stuck inside his throat. I don't think he'd be disgusted, but it would definitely make things awkward. Would he still want to hang out with me? If he knew how much I like him, then... Do you think he'd still want to be your friend? Knowing you've been waiting for the chance to jump him? Luca's lips curved into an unpleasant smirk. I know I wouldn't. In fact, I'd want to keep the hell away from you. It'd be all sorts of uncomfortable, but who knows? Maybe Noah's more easygoing than I am. But I think that it would be so hard considering how easygoing and nice I am. Do you want to find out? What? You wouldn't tell him about this, would you? Well, that depends. I'm a nice guy, so I'd really rather not ruin a beautiful relationship. 13 years is a long time. But I'm not so very nice. But I'm not so very nice I'd be willing to keep my quiet without any sort of compensation. Compensation? That's right. It's how the world works. It's give and take. I do you a favor, and you do me one in return. I'm serious, I swear. You should know all about that. I mean, your father is a lawyer, right? I bet he defended all sorts of crooks in the past. All for money. People will do all sorts of immoral things if there's something in it for them. I'm not going to do anything illegal for you if that's what you're after, and you can go right off with that. Oh no, you misunderstand. It's not like I'm asking you to kill anyone for me. Though, that would be pretty fun, huh? I can almost imagine you as a killer. You'd have that look in your eyes. Luca giggled. No, what I want is much more manageable. You're smart, right? At least you're supposed to be. Your grades are so good, you're pretty famous. You'll excel in every single subject, and you make it look easy. It must be nice, being naturally talented. But some of us aren't so fortunate. I've been working plenty hard myself, but it still isn't enough. Not for my mother. She keeps getting on me about my grades. It's a huge drag, if I'm honest. Especially when I have to be putting the work in. She doesn't see that, though. She doesn't care about the process. She only cares about the results. So, could you find it in your heart of hearts to help me out? Huh? This request seems unexpectedly reasonable coming from a slimy guy like him. Is there a catch to this? I doubt things can be so simple, but... Do you want me to tutor you? Is that it? Oh, no. Luca waved one hand dismissively, his smug smile unwavering. You misunderstand. I'm not interested in that. It'd be way too much effort. I think it'd be easier if you just did my homework for me. So that's why you don't pass your classes, buddy. You know that's why you don't pass your fucking classes. No, I'm not doing that. Would you mind too much, Kaine? I'm in a year below you, so it should be simple. I bet you can refract all your old boring equations with your eyes shut. You. Kaine scowled. I should have known. Of course he'd opt for the easy way out. This kid. He looks so innocent, but he's got to be the most shameless, self-absorbed guy that I've ever met. You're a jerk. Believe me, you're not the first person to say that to me. Luca grinned unpleasantly. While we're on the subject of how awful I am, though, your parents are pretty wealthy, aren't they? Well, they've got to be, since your daddy's a big-shot lawyer and all. I bet you have loads of cash to spare. My family's pretty wealthy, too, as it happens. Good for you. Oh, it's not that good for me. My mom's in charge of my allowance. She's a total tightwad. She's so strict. I can never afford anything I want. You wouldn't mind lending me some cash, would you? I'd be so appreciative. I bet you'll have so much fun. I bet you have so much of it you won't even miss it. So you're extorting me for money now? Is that how it is? Oh, no, not at all. I wouldn't say that. Extorting's such an ugly word. I'm asking you for a favor, is all, now that we're friends. Are we friends? I think so. I mean, it'd definitely be in your best interests if you said yes. Why you? Kaine had been trying to suppress his temper, but these smugly self-satisfied remarks finally tipped him over the edge. He couldn't continue to stand there playing nice with Luca, not when Luca was taking advantage of him so brazenly. Where did he get off? Ugh. Is that a term I don't understand? That's like a colloquialism, right? Where the hell did he get off anyways? Huh. If he thinks I'm just gonna lie down and take all this, then he has another thing coming. Oh, I'll show you, friendly, all right. This is the best favor I could think of doing for you, in fact. Kaine stalked forwards and grabbed the front of Luca's shirt. He twisted the fabric in his hand, dragging the younger boy towards him. You think you can screw around with people, however much you want, for your own amusement? You're not gonna mess with me, and you're gonna leave Noah alone. I'll teach you a lesson you won't forget, and maybe you'll figure out how to be a half-decent person. What? Luca smirked. Kaine might have backed him into a corner, his fingers curled around his shirt, but Luca didn't look at all perturbed by these events. Instead, he looked amused. Does he think I'm bluffing? That arrogant, cocky little... Your grades might be great, but I guess that really doesn't preclude you from being an idiot. You don't realize this... Don't you realize the situation you're in? I'm the one holding all the cards here. I could ruin your relationship with your precious friend just like that if I wanted to. Do you want me to do that, Kaine? They better give me a choice. They better give me a choice. Because I'm telling you right now, if some nasty little rat kid was like, I can tell you have feelings for someone, I'd be like, okay. And I'm going to tell them it's going to ruin your friendship. Tell them. Do it. I dare you. Go ahead. Go ahead and tell them. Do it. I dare you. Go do it. Worst that can happen is they stop being a friend. And it does suck. But, like, that's not the, like, dude, if this happened and I was like Noah and that nerd came up to me, number one, I wouldn't believe this nerd. That's number one. This guy is, like, obviously slimy. Like, super obviously slimy. I'm not gonna trust anything he freaking says. I'd be like, hey, the nerd's talking about you. I'd be like, you better be careful. He's telling lies about you. He's saying that you like me and stuff. And he'd be like, right. But, so number one, if I was in this situation and I was Noah, I wouldn't believe this kid anyways. I don't think Noah would believe it anyways. One, because he already knows that he's based on how Noah's behaving, he's already been extorted in some manner. Already. So he would already know that this kid sucks. But he's also just, like, in his own head at this point. He's so self-centered that he wouldn't even care. The bell rang as Luca spoke, signaling the end of the lunch hour, but Kaine hardly heard it. All the noise about him had faded into the background. He couldn't hear anything except Luca's taunts, which swirled in his head, and the thumping of his own heart. His breathing was harsh, jagged. His shoulders, meanwhile, were shaking. He felt sick. Shut up. You really are making things interesting for me, Kaine. How fun. Shut up before I shut you up. He swung back his fist, meaning to sink it into Luca's face when... Kaine? An exclamation made Kaine pause. Oh. I think I should punch him anyways. I don't care. I don't care if it's Noah. I don't care if it's Noah. I don't care if it's August. I don't care if it's Mother Teresa. We're gonna get this kid. Let me reel back, punch him in the face. Kaine, we need to punch him anyways. I don't care. He turned feeling like a robber caught in a CCTV camera when he came face to face with the last person he wanted to see. Noah was there, standing at the foot of the stairs, only a few paces away from him. And of course, wherever Noah went, August followed. Both boys looked at him with confusion writ all over their faces. They must have gotten a good look at Kaine, with his fist curled in Luca's shirt. They must have heard the conversation which has preceded this uncharacteristic bout of violence, however. Oh, had they? Probably not, based on what they said. Did they know what Luca and Kaine had been discussing? Ugh. Kaine froze. The unpleasant squirming feeling in the pit of his stomach increased, as though he had just swallowed a bucket full of worms. Sorry, I'm readjusting. Maybe I really am gonna be sick. If Noah heard any of that, dude, let's just chill. It's fine. If he knows how I feel about him, then... Kaine didn't voice his anxious thoughts, however. That would only serve to make him look guiltier. Instead, he took a fortifying breath, counted to 3. Noah, August. Is everything okay? We're not interrupting something, are we? Kaine looked back at Luca. He was still gripping his collar, practically choking him. Ugh, this doesn't look good. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. Kaine's whole body had seized up after seeing Noah, including his fingers. He took a Herculean amount of energy to relinquish the grip on Luca, but he finally accomplished it. Kaine took a step back, breathing heavily, as though he'd run a marathon. He couldn't recall ever feeling more on edge. Luca, meanwhile, didn't look worse for wear. After the one-sided tussle, I bet you it did bother him, and he's just good at hiding it. But, I think we should have slogged him anyways. What are they gonna do? Stop me? You think those two nerds could stop him? Wrong. And, like, I think Kaine should have punched him. Sorry. I know violence is never the answer. Weep, womp, womp. Some kids need to get punched. He needs to be punched. He needs to be taken down a few pegs. He thinks he can manipulate everyone? Get ready for my fist. Get ready for my knuckles to come swinging at you. He dusted a few specks of lint off his uniform and then pouted. You're such a meanie, Kaine. I just wanted to chat for a while. I can't believe you'd be so cruel. What did I ever do to you, huh? Kaine clicked his tongue. You know full what you did, you little... Now. August stepped forward, a consolatory smile on his face. I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding. August, if you don't get out of my face, I already don't like you. Me as the player, I already don't like you, because I think you're annoying. Peace and love, I don't like August. This is not a Kaine thing. It's just a, like, I hate those characters that are, like, super nice to where it feels fake. I don't care. I don't like him. Get out of my face, August. Get out of my face. Let me get this kid. I would bet that Kaine wasn't trying to hurt you or argue. He's incredibly kind. He sure wasn't acting very nice to me. He was being a total jerk. I was so scared. I didn't realize he was so nasty. Luca wiped a few tears from his lashes and then smiled. But you seem pretty nice at least. Hey, are you August? Oh, yes I am. And are you? I'm Luca. I'm Noah's friend. I guess I really am Kaine's enemy, and I guess I'm Kaine's enemy. It's nice to meet you. Hey, did you know? Ugh, I don't know what this little jerk means to say, but it can't be anything good. I've got to get us away from here. Kaine turned his back on Luca, and then took hold of both August and Noah by the arms. He might have used a bit too much force. August gasped, but Kaine didn't care. It was imperative, all of a sudden, that he put as much distance between himself and Luca as possible. Aw, you don't want to stay and chat? Luca pouted. That's too bad. I guess the bell did ring already. I wouldn't want you to be late for class, so I'll let it slide for now. Bye-bye, you three. What a jackass. Kaine didn't bother replying. He couldn't see the point. He continued to haul Noah and August behind him, only stopping when he had put enough distance between them. Yo, I hate this kid. Hey. Noah wrenched his arm free of Kaine's grasp. At long last, looked at him questioningly. What was all that about? Nothing. It doesn't matter. We can talk about it later. Or never. Let's just get to class first. Kaine had no intention however, of ever revisiting this topic. The cold spike of fear he had felt in his chest when Luca had addressed... Yeah. August hadn't disappeared. Oh yeah, because he was going to totally try to manipulate him next. His heart was hammering. Kaine had no idea what it was that Luca had wanted to tell August, but he doubted it was anything good. He didn't want to give in to Luca's cowardly, underhanded tactics? Hello? I cannot read. But what choice did he have? He didn't want any... He didn't... What? Hello? If he didn't do what Luca wanted, he'd tell Noah about his feelings. Then everything Kaine would have worked for would have been ruined. Ugh. Kaine sighed. As if my life weren't already difficult enough. Dude, the worst that can happen is he tells him, and obviously you're still friends in the future, so it's not going to be that bad. Whatever happens, it's not going to be that bad. Kaine's spirit were desolate as he walked home from school. Luca's threats might not have had a physical presence, but they still weighed on him. Kaine's shoulders were sunken from the pressure of it, his footsteps slow and shambling. Can things get any worse than this? I'm having a real hard time imagining it. The trio walked in silence until they reached the top of the mountain. See you guys later. Have a nice weekend, Kaine. Yeah, you too. Kaine turned away from them, heading towards his house. He got most of the way there before he felt someone pull on his sleeve. Kaine, is everything okay? I know everything isn't okay, but do you want to talk about it? I'm fine. You don't have to worry about me. August put on a smile that said he most certainly did not buy this. You don't need to lie to me. I know a person who's struggling when I see one. You have a lot on your shoulders, don't you? I might not be able to lift that weight, but I can at least listen. You want to go talk? Kaine nodded before he realized he was nodding. He gazed down at August, feeling oddly helpless. I'm glad that they were actually friends, instead of third wheel. He let August lead him partway down the mountain to the familiar riverside. May I just say, peace and love, that Noah should have noticed first. Thanks. Like, I'm not saying you should be able to tell minute behavioral things about your, like, friends. Like, that's not what I'm saying, because I've grown up in a household where I've just become very attuned to negative behavior, so I can just tell when they're happening, so that's not what I'd say other people should be able to do. But, he should be able to tell, because definitely with how his parents are, he should be able to tell when people are upset. He should have that thing in his head. It's like a, what is it? It's like a survival tactic that kids who grow up in households where their parents are not, they don't have stability in their emotional intelligence, they seek dangerous or like the behavior in their parents when they're upset, and they try to fix it. And I'm not saying that's something that, like, obviously he kind of didn't acquire it. I can see that, both him and Asher. But, like, dude, he's your best friend. You can't tell when your best friend's upset. That's, like, sad as hell. Like, L friend. I've always thought he was a bad friend, though. I've never been quiet about that fact. That's for sure. Kaine sat down first and then patted the patch of grass for Kaine to join him. You know, I think there's something about this river that brings people together. In what way? There's someone else I know who sits by this river, looking just as lost as you do right now. I see him some nights. I don't think I've ever really been able to help him, but I do listen. I'm pretty good at listening. Maybe this river has a bit of magic in it that makes people more honest. Magic doesn't exist. Well, I don't know if I agree, but some pretty magical things. Wait, I've seen some pretty magical things in this town. What's been weighing on you, Kaine? I feel like everything I've carefully built up is falling down around me. There's just too many things. Kaine trailed off, lifting his gaze from the calm surface of the water. Everywhere I turn, it feels like I'm being cornered. My family's falling apart, I'm having some troubles with someone at school, and I feel like I'm losing Noah. I don't know if my friends would like the real me. Oh, Kaine. You've really had a tough time, haven't you? I just feel stupid complaining about it. There's loads of people out there who have it worse than me. You spent your life moving from place to place. Noah's family treats him awfully. And I'm just whining that things might fall apart. You're not stupid. Just because someone's lived a hard life doesn't make yours any less valid. Period. Go off, King. I'm so sorry. 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 Let me lock back in. I'm sorry so much is hurting you right now. I wish there was something I could do about it, but I'm here for you. I'll always be here for you. I'm just one message away if you need someone to listen. August. And I'll listen to every problem you have, no matter how small. Even if you think it sounds stupid. I never think you sound stupid. He really is a perfect person. No wonder Noah fell in love with him. I never could have competed with him. Thanks, August. It means a lot. Wait, did you say you come out here at night sometimes? August glanced away from Kaine, toying with a blade of grass between his fingers. Sometimes I can't sleep at night, and I decide to come down here. I like to sit out by the water. It helps me think. I know I shouldn't sneak out. It's not really like me at all. It just kind of happened once, and I kept doing it. But I met someone who needed my help, so maybe something was calling me here. You should be careful, you know. The mountainside is dark, and I wouldn't want you to fall. And who knows who could be hanging around in the shadows. August smiled towards him. You always worry about everyone around you, don't you? I can't help it when my friends are making such poor decisions. August laughed at that, the sound light and cheery. I'll be careful, I promise. You should spend a little more of your energy caring about yourself, too. Anyway, we should get back before it gets too late, huh? August stood, offering his hand to Kaine. Wryly, Kaine glanced up at August's outstretched fingers and then took his hand. It was soft. Together they walked back up the mountain before splitting off when they reached their respective homes. Kaine felt a little better. He might not have told August much, but he found he didn't need to. Simply talking about it out loud to somebody who wasn't involved did wonders for his mood. Oh, it's about to get worse, girl. That feeling didn't last. The first thing Kaine noticed when he returned home was that his father's car was parked in the driveway. This was an unusual sight in and of itself, largely because Kaine's father was rarely home before 7 p.m. Even in previous months, when he had been less overworked, it had been uncommon for Kaine's father to return sooner than his son. What gives? Kaine was hit with a feeling of misapprehension as he eyed his father's car. Something unusual must have happened to bring him home so early. What could it have been, though? Some sort of accident? Maybe he's sick. But no, my old man's a workaholic. He'd probably do overtime, even if he had a broken arm. Besides, I don't think I'd ever seen him get sick before. He's too important to get ill. He isn't like us commoners. Oh, buddy. What could it be, then? Kaine had a sneaking suspicion he knew exactly why his father had returned so early. But Kaine didn't want to tempt fate. I could always be wrong. At least I hope I'm wrong. Kaine swallowed his anxiety the best he could. Then he let himself into his home. Kaine's home had always been somber, more so during the last few months than ever before. The house was far too big for their small family, and it seemed bigger still in the continued absence of Kaine's father. The sheer size of the rooms had, at times, threatened to dwarf Kaine. His parents' house did not feel like a home. It was so quiet and so immaculately tidy, it felt more like a crypt. The atmosphere was more tense now, however, than it usually was, and Kaine soon saw why. His father was there, after all, just as his parked car had suggested. He was sitting at the dining room table opposite his mother, his fingers steepled together at his front. He lifted his head, however, when Kaine entered the room, and he nodded. So you're back. I was waiting for you. You're not going to say hello? Ask me how my day was? For a man who's always lectured me about the importance of being polite, you're not being very polite yourself right now. Maybe you should practice what you preach. Dad. Kaine greeted his father with a nod of his head in turn, trying to disregard all the while the anxiety which squirmed at the pit of his stomach. You're home early today. Did something happen? You could say that, yes. I received a interesting phone call from your mother while I was at work, and I decided it needed addressing. I still have a lot of work to do, of course. Of course. You have to keep reminding us of how important you are, don't you? You can't help yourself. But I was able to move around my schedule to come back earlier today. I thought I owed you as much given, well, we are family. Wow, how very noble of you. Did you expect me to grovel at your feet? Thank you for giving me the time of day. It's not like I'm your only child or anything. It's a rather difficult subject, however. I have meant to broach it myself for quite some time, but I preferred not to upset the status quo around here. It might be fortunate that you did it for me, Kaine. Dad. Kaine took a seat at the table. He tried to look unconcerned, but his legs began to shake. It felt almost as though they had turned to gelatin. What are you talking about? You ought to know. You're the one who told your mother about this, after all. Dear. Kaine's mother, who had been tight-lipped during this affair, looked at her husband with anguished eyes. Kaine's mother had always looked older than her years, but she looked worse than she had that morning. Her eyes were rimmed with red, as though she had been crying, and the wrinkles about her mouth and under her eyes seemed to have deepened. Kaine was struck then, as he observed his mother, with the sheer wrongness of the situation. What in the world happened? I think I can guess, but I so badly want to be wrong. Did I do the wrong thing? Kaine was mistaken, wasn't he? He said he saw you with some woman. That can't be true. She must have been a co-worker. He's mistaken. Tell him this has all been some misunderstanding. For a few moments, silence reigned. Kaine's father inhaled deeply, as if trying to draw upon a strength which existed beyond his body. Then he spoke. I'm sorry. I don't know how Kaine found out about this or when he saw us, but our son is rather perceptive. He is a credit to both of us, and he's not incorrect. Everything he's told you is all true. Dear? Kaine's mother stared at her husband, her face pasty white with shock. What are you talking about? You weren't really seeing another woman, were you? You wouldn't. You would never do such a thing to me, surely. For a few moments, Kaine's father fell quiet. Why do we have to wait for our son to get home to have this conversation? That's not something we should include the kid in. I mean, like truly. He looked at the tabletop, his expression pensive. Then, after a sizable pause, he spoke. This is a painful thing to admit, but Kaine is correct. He didn't lie or misunderstand what's going on. No, he can't be. He is. I know you might wish otherwise, but I can't keep hiding the truth from you. Not after all this. I respect you too much for that. He respects her, huh? He sure has a funny way of showing it. I've been cheating on you for the last 6 months. Dang, that's crazy! Sorry, I'm locked in. Ever since my last office Christmas party. I wasn't sure how to break the news to you, so I kept it to myself. I knew you would find out eventually, of course, and this was only a temporary measure, but I never imagined Kaine would be the one to tell you. Evidently, I wasn't as discreet as I thought. You weren't being very discreet at all. Kaine snorted and folded his arms. You were hooking up with your side piece at all hours while you were supposed to be home with us. There's nothing subtle about it. Yes, you have a point. Kaine's father concurred quietly, his expression unchanging. He didn't raise his voice, and neither did he look particularly upset. His face was so blank, it could have been a mask. I was not very subtle, and neither did I treat the pair of you particularly well. You must have been wondering what I was doing, staying out as many nights as I did. I'm sure that I caused you hardship. For that, I apologize. I had to have told you what had happened a long time ago, but now you have told your mother, Kaine. You've spared me the hassle. It was weighing on my mind for a long time, when I ought to confess. But how best to go about it. But I do not need to do that now. Thank you, Kaine. You've been a big help. Let me get you real quick. Let me get out my Glock. I'm kidding. What? Kaine stared at his father, stunned into speechlessness. What is wrong with you? Aren't you supposed to be a grown man? You always used to preach to me when I was a kid about taking responsibility for my actions. Where's your sense of responsibility gone now, huh? What sort of father forces his own kid into confessing that he's had an affair? You should have seen... Wait, you should have been the one to tell Mom about this, not me. Cleaning up after your messes isn't my job. How could you? Thoughts raced through Kaine's head like a flood, but he was too stunned to put a voice to any of them. His father's cool, almost callous confession had robbed him of the ability to speak, and it felt like Kaine's body had become untethered from reality. Nothing seemed to make sense. His whole world had tilted upside down. In less than 10 minutes, his perception of his father, which had been the most positive, had shattered. What was he supposed to do now? Oh, dear. Oh, God, dear. You can't be serious, can you? Please tell me this is a joke. Kaine's mother, however, did not seem to want to accept the truth. I mean, no one wants to accept that they're being cheated on. That sucks. She looked at her husband imploringly, with the lost eyes of a child. Don't do that. Don't make that comparison. Hoping against hope that he would say something to soothe her. I'm sorry, but it wasn't to be. You should know that I'm not the sort of person to tell jokes, and I definitely wouldn't make light of a situation like this. Right, but we're just not going to bring it up at all. Kaine is right. I've been lying to you for a long time. It's a poor way to repay you, I know, for the many years we've been together, and the happiness you've given me. But that's simply the way it is. I've already moved on, and for your own sake, I would advise you to do the same. Nothing good can come of clinging to a man like me. No, wait, dear. Kaine's mother called after her husband, but to little avail. He had already gotten to his feet. He looked down at his wife, who remained sitting. 2 tears tracks staining her cheeks like snail trails. Let's go, snails. Sorry, I'm serious. Her mascara was smudged on her face, black smudges caught in the creases beneath her eyes. Kaine's mother looked old beyond her years. Dang, can you not dog on her in her worst moments, my guy? Dang. They said she looked ancient as she was falling apart. Bruh, can you be kind to her, please? Rude as hell. Anyways. But the smeared makeup made her look even older. Dang! She looked decrepit. Bruh, can you leave her alone? She's going through it right now. Kaine's father observed her mutely, with something resembling pity in his face, before he turned his head. I'll be staying at a hotel tonight. I can't imagine you'll be wanting to share the bed with me now, knowing what you do. And if you do, then I would ask you to respect yourself a little more. You deserve better. I don't care about having better, though. I only want you. I still love you. Then you were even more of a fool than I thought. We can discuss what we'll do with the house later, and with our finances, once we've settled the divorce. Until then, I'll give you a bit of time to adjust. I'll see you later. Dang, that was tea. That was tea. This is going to be a long episode, I guess. Kaine's father departed after this, his front door closing behind him with a thud. In his absence, the silence which filled the kitchen was suffocating. A field came up, stopping the flow of air into his lungs. He couldn't breathe. He'd forgotten how. Oh, God. Oh, God. For several moments, Kaine's mother simply sat there, her eyes wide with hurt and shock. She stared at the wall opposite her, her expression an intense, almost inhuman blank. Oh, God. Before she began to cry. The tears which... Yeah, you know what? Let me pull out Google for that one, buddy. No, I don't know what that means. Yeah.
Sluice.
Sluice?
Sluice.
What does that mean? Wash or rinse freely with a shower or, okay. Pour flow freely. Okay. The tears which sluiced down his mother's cheeks were nothing like anything Kaine had ever seen before. Dang. They were desperate, each and every one accompanied by a pained gasp. Her chest rose up and down, the sheer exertion of crying. Her shoulders shook from it. Her body was trembling so much she looked as though she might collapse beneath the weight of her own misery. Her head bowed, as she thought, as though it was too heavy for her body. Then she pressed her hands against her face. Kaine could no longer see his mother's pitiful tears, but he could still hear them. He didn't think he would ever forget this sound nor this sight. He'd never seen his mother like this before, bent double, like a woman simultaneously younger and older than she really was. She sobbed like a young child, but wheezed like an old woman. Can you stop dogging on her, please? Like, this is crazy. In an instant, her whole world had fallen apart around her, and she, too, was falling apart. Mom. Kaine eyed her uneasily, unsure of what to do. Was there any way he could console her? It seemed unlikely that the words could help, when his mother's marriage had just dissolved, a marriage which had lasted over 2 decades. But Kaine couldn't simply sit there, watching her cry as though she was some sort of modern art installation. He had to say something. Mom, I don't know what to say, but I'm sure everything will be all right. Dad might change his mind, you know. You've been together for a long time. I don't think he's that cold. He'll apologize in due course. He's got to after everything he did. And if he doesn't, and he really does go through the divorce, then that means there wasn't anything great about him to begin with. I mean, he cheated on you. He's been cheating on you for months. He isn't worth your tears. You know what he's really like now, so... Kaine. Kaine's mother let her hands fall from her face. Hello, help. She wiped her eyes with the back of her arm and swallowed the remaining tears, though her shoulders still shook. She examined her son with narrow eyes, and then, in a voice which was surprisingly cool and even, given the intensity of her earlier sobbing, she said, Don't. Please. Don't? Kaine looked at his mother, bewilderment written on her face. Don't what? Don't try to comfort me. I know you mean well, but your words, they're all hollow. You have no idea how much I love your father. You have no idea how much he means to me. So don't try to reassure me. There's nothing you could say which would make it better. In fact, I think you've said too much already. Mom? Yes, that's right. If only you kept your mouth shut, none of this would have been happening. If you'd not told me about your father, then I would not know about any of this. I would never have confronted him. Kaine's mother grit her teeth together, her face twisted, her features distorting until they looked almost monstrous. And then he wouldn't have left me. And we'd still be happy together, a loving, perfect family. We could have had all that. We did have all that, but you ruined it. What? Kaine stared at his mother, his jaw slack. He was so stunned by this injustice, he didn't know how to vocalize it. He hardly even knew what to think about it. That's not fair. You're talking like this is all my fault, but I'm not the one who made Dad cheat on you. I didn't do anything wrong. Enough! Kaine's mother cut across her son's retorts. Her voice was high-pitched and shrill. Oh, I didn't do that. It sounded nothing like the kind, gentle voice Kaine knew from his childhood. The voice which had recited fairy tales to him and lulled him to sleep. It sounded nothing like the heartbroken woman from earlier, either, who had been sobbing over her husband's infidelity. Her voice was full of hatred. But it was not hatred directed at her husband who had hurt her. Her husband was not there. Kaine's mother could not vent out her frustrations on him, so instead she chose to do it on her son. He was the only person she could lash out at. He was the only person she could hurt. You say you didn't do anything wrong, but that's a child's excuse. You aren't a child, are you, Kaine? You're almost 18 already. I know, but nothing. You're almost an adult, so you should take responsibility for what you've done. You've torn our family apart. No, I didn't. That wasn't what I wanted. I don't care what you wanted. It doesn't matter. Not when you look at the results. Intentional or not, you ruined our family. If you'd only kept what you've seen to yourself, you could have kept on just like we always did. I wish you hadn't told me. I would have been much better, much happier not knowing. You've been so ungrateful. Ungrateful? That's right, you're ungrateful. I've worked my fingers to the bone for this family. I've cooked for you, cleaned for you, taken good care of you for years and years. I've always put my happiness before yours, and this is how you repay me? You make me doubt the man I love more than anything else, and you ruin my relationship? How could you, Kaine? How could you? I thought I raised you better than this. I thought that you loved me. Kaine's mother dissolved once again into a fit of tears. Her upper body slumped forward, and she shifted her hands as if to support it. She pressed her palms into her face, her whole body quaking as she sobbed. She sobbed so loudly, with such renewed vigor, that Kaine shuddered. What was he supposed to say? What was he supposed to do? He had half a mind to correct her, but he knew that there was no point. It wouldn't make her feel any better. It wouldn't make him feel any better either. He wanted to argue with her, but more than that, he wanted to get away from her. He couldn't spend time with his mother anymore, not when she was like this. She had been hurt, and badly. Now, like a wounded animal, she tried to lash out at anybody who was in her way, the very adult response to that, and not childish at all. Logically, Kaine understood this. No, it's not logical to tell your child that they're the cause of all your problems. It's actually quite traumatizing and very not okay. And it's not an excuse. You should go, hey, I understand that you're trying to help me right now. It's not time for that. Let me have my fifis. I'm gonna go in my room and be sad. Peace out. You know, like I understand her being upset, and that sucks, but she's also delusional. She's also delulu. Because that's crazy of her to say. He knew his mother probably didn't mean any of the things that she was saying. That doesn't mean it's okay to say it. When she had recovered from the news of her husband's betrayal, and she had once again begun to think rationally, she had begun to regret everything she had said. But until she apologized, Kaine could not spend another second in her company. It hurt too much. Wordlessly, Kaine rose to his feet, wiped his own eyes with the back of his arm, which were beginning to feel damp, and then he left. He abandoned his... Damn, how long is it gonna go on? He abandoned his mother, who was slumped at the kitchen table, just as his father had before him. Kaine wasn't proud of this, but what other choice did he have? There's nothing I could say to cheer her up. I already tried, and it didn't work. It's not like I'm running away. I can't deal with this. It really is too much. Do you not blame you? Aimlessly, Kaine wandered the streets, with no real idea where he was going. He wasn't sure if there was anywhere he could go. No matter what he did or where he went, he would be beset with the knowledge of everything which had happened in the kitchen earlier. My parents are divorcing. They're divorcing because of me. If I didn't say anything, none of this would be happening. Maybe this really is my fault. Kaine meandered over to the local playground, which was empty. Listlessly, Kaine sat down on one of the swings and stared into nothingness. He didn't know what he was going to do, but he couldn't go back home. He couldn't bear to see his mother again after everything she had said, and I don't think she'll want to see me very much either. She never looked at me like that before. It was almost like she hated me. Kaine didn't know how long he sat there, lost in contemplation, but the sun eventually began to set. The sky was dyed red, then pink, then orange. Then the sun disappeared. The moon appeared, half veiled beneath the layer of clouds, and with the appearance of the moon, there came the rain. It started off light at first, in dribs and dabs, but eventually it began to come down harder. Crap. Kaine cursed and then got to his feet. The swing creaked, and the rain continued to drum on his scalp, his shoulders. I can't stay here, but where can I go? I don't have any money on me, and I can't stay at a hotel. I don't want to go back to August now. I think you should, personally. The only person I want to see is Noah. But what if he doesn't want to see me? He is August now. I don't want to intrude, but... Kaine's head swirled with thoughts. His feet began to move almost automatically. They led him away from the playground through the moonlit streets until he arrived at a house he knew very well. Going this way took much more time than going up the mountain track, but Kaine wasn't stupid enough to want to try hiking up it in the dark in the rain. That would be a recipe for a disaster. Oh no. He looked up at Noah's house. Oh no. Dude, is that how he died? Because he keeps going out at night and he trips and falls and dies. Dude, that sucks. I don't even know if that, because they haven't told us how he dies yet. Oh my god, I need to wrap this up. Kaine thought about knocking the front door, but discarded the idea. He was still in the school uniform, and he was damp with rainwater, his shirt still sticking to him, and his hair tousled. Noah's mother might have liked him, but she doubted he would like him if he tracked rainwater all over the entrance hall. He could see her furrowed brow already in his mind's eye. Yeah, I'd rather avoid that. She's the last person I want to deal with right now. Kaine circled Noah's house and then came to a halt beneath his bedroom window. Once there, he bent, retrieving a few small pebbles from the garden, and he tossed them upwards. The pebbles drummed against Noah's window, one after the other. Can he hear me? It's raining pretty hard. Come on, Noah. Kaine shifted from one foot to the other, his agitation building with every second that passed. He was beginning to worry that Noah wasn't in his bedroom at all when... Kaine? Noah's curtains were drawn back, and there was Noah, framed by the window. He looked down into the garden, which was steeped with shadows, and frowned. What are you doing out there? It's a long story. I was just wondering, Kaine glanced around him surreptitiously, afraid that Noah's parents are worse, his brother might catch him in the act. Can I come in? Confusion flickered across Noah's face, but he didn't pry. Instead, he stood aside and said, Of course you can. Thanks. Kaine scrambled up the tree which grew near the side of the house, as he had many times when he was a small boy, and then he let himself through the window, apologizing as he did for scattering raindrops everywhere. Dude, hell yeah. I hope I haven't gotten the carpet too wet. It's fine. Do you think I care about the carpet right now? Maybe you won't, but your mom will. I can invent some sort of excuse. I'm gonna guess you don't want her to know you came here since you didn't use the front door? You'd guess right. I'm not really in the mood to talk to anybody right now. Apart from me? You're special. Right. Noah glanced away. Was it his imagination or... That's new. Right? That's new. He didn't used to do that all the time. I'm so confused. Maybe that's why he was confused. Because, again, we're not getting Noah's perspective on this. We're just getting Kaine's. We're not in Noah's head. Usually we're in Noah's head, but... I wonder if he did like him at one point. It was just really, like, in his head. Like, he didn't think about it. Like, you know how childhood friends to lovers, they have that period when they're kids where, like... I don't know, they get to the end of the story and they're like, oh, I've always liked you. I think it's that kind of vibe, maybe. Is what I'm getting. Was it his imagination or was that a blush Kaine could see on Noah's face? No, surely not. Seriously, though, what happened? You look terrible. Well, thanks. Softly, Kaine laughed. I knew we could always rely on you to perk me up. Anytime. Can I stay here tonight, please? Kaine didn't like how desperate he sounded, but he couldn't help himself. He was desperate. If Noah said no, he had no idea where he'd go. Kaine stared at Noah, despising his own intensity as he did. The seconds passed, each one more uncomfortable than the last, but Noah finally said, All right, of course you can stay here. Thanks. Relief flooded through Kaine's body, a relief so potent he could have collapsed from it. I'm guessing you don't want me to go out and get the spare mattress from my mom? No, don't tell anyone I'm here, please. All right, sure. It's pretty late, so I'll sleep on the floor. It's no problem. What? Don't be stupid. You can use my bed. Is that really all right? Why wouldn't it be? Does he really need to ask? Most people would refuse, seeing as I'm soaked through, but that's not even the most important part. Isn't he forgetting about somebody? Well, it's just, you are dating somebody now. And? Noah frowned. That doesn't change anything between us. You're still my best friend. I'm sure August would understand. You don't think he's the jealous type? If he was, I wouldn't like him so much. Yeah, that's true. I guess that's why things never worked between us. I'm nowhere near as forgiving as St. August. If only I could be that pure. I don't know. Jealousy to some extent. I was talking about it with a friend. But jealousy can be really, like, sweet in a way. If it's not, like, possessive and gross. Because it's just a way of you showing that you kind of, like, care about somebody. It's not entirely a bad emotion. I think it's annoying. For me, I think when I get jealous, it's annoying. I'm like, oh, stop, it's disgusting. But I understand that the underlying emotion behind it isn't, like, bad inherently. And then if you don't mind. Kaine stripped off his wet shirt and crawled under the covers. Noah didn't join him, not immediately. He stood there for a moment by the bedside, his eyes boring into Kaine's back. Kaine winced and then drew his legs up beneath his chin and wound his arms around him. He never wanted to disappear more in his life than in that moment. What the hell must Noah be thinking of me? I let myself into his house through his window, late at night. Without a word of explanation, now I'm curled up in his bed trying not to cry. That's pretty pathetic. Luca would have a field day if he could see me now. He would have blackmail material for years. Kaine heard above the sound of rain, sheets shifting. Noah must have come to join him after all. For a few moments, neither boy spoke. Kaine was afraid if he attempted it, he would start crying. I look stupid enough already without making things worse. He lay there, his eyes squeezed shut. Before, all of a sudden, he said, "Hey, Noah, would you be my friend, even if I was a bad person?" What? Kaine couldn't see Noah's face, but not when he was turned away from him, but he could hear the confusion in his voice. "You're not a bad person, Kaine." "How do you know that?" "But even if you were, I'd still be your friend, no matter what." Wow, he sure has a lot of faith in me. I wish I could have that much faith in myself. Kaine exhaled. Then softly he murmured, "Do you ever feel like you're completely alone in the world?" "Sometimes, I guess. But we have each other, don't we?" "No, Noah, because you're a bad friend." "Do we?" "I thought we did, just before he showed up." "Now you'd rather spend time with him, wouldn't you?" And just thinking that makes me feel worse. I like August. He's so kind. He's my friend. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what I would do without you, Noah. Well, I'm not going anywhere. And hopefully you're not either. The silence fell between them. It was a deep silence, broken by the sound of their mismatched breathing and the falling of rain. Kaine let his arms drop from his legs and then turned. The sheets shifted about him. The resultant sound oddly dry, a little like leaves. He looked at Noah, who looked back at him. Noah's face was obscured by the shadows, but Kaine could see the furrow in his brows. He looked confused. No, concerned. Now this is a change of pace. I thought I was supposed to be the mom friend. I guess being worried every once in a while isn't so bad, though. Kaine, is something going on? Kaine nipped his lower lip with his teeth. He wasn't sure of how to respond to that. So much was going on. He was afraid. If he started, he would never stop. You don't have to tell me now, of course. I don't want to be pushy. But I am here for you, you know? I know. Thanks, Noah. Kaine drew in a breath. He turned the words over in his head, heavy, unwieldy words, each of them unbearable as the rain fell. It had been raining for a good half hour, but it had yet to abate. If anything, it was getting even stronger. Kaine thought he could hear the wind, too, rattling the window panes, and... Was that thunder? It sounded like it was pretty... What is that? Tumultuous? Google's my best friend sometimes. Tumultuous. How do you say that? Hey, yo. Tumultuous. Excited, confused, disorderly, making a loud, confused noise. Okay. Tumultuous outside. How funny. When I was a kid, I used to be afraid of thunder. My mom always had to tuck me into bed and to console me. I'm much too old for that now, though. I doubt my mother would be in the mood to console me much anymore. It was this thought that finally unstuck Kaine's throat. He parted his lips, which felt dry and cracked, and then confessed. My parents are getting divorced. What? Noah stared at him, his eyes wide as white. His wide eyes as white as eggshells in the dark. I'm sorry, Kaine, I didn't realize. Neither did I, not until today. It happened so suddenly. Just the other day, everything was, well, it wasn't fine, but My dad's been absent for ages, but my mother and I, we were getting along all right. We were okay. But my dad cheated on her, tossed her aside like she was nothing. Oh God, that's messed up. My mother was beside herself when she found out, but Dad, he didn't even try to make up excuses. He was so cold about it, it was kind of, I don't know, unnerving. It was like he didn't care. My mom, meanwhile. Kaine took a deep breath. He shuddered. He wasn't sure if he could talk about his mother's tears, not without sobbing himself. Perhaps that was something he had to keep to himself. I think my mom will wind up keeping the house. Dad didn't sound interested in trying to fight a legal battle. He's wealthy enough. He probably doesn't need to worry about it. I wouldn't be surprised if he moved away. Right, I see. And what about you? Naturally, I'm gonna stay here. I don't want to leave you. It's just... Kaine inhaled shakily. This whole thing's made me wonder, is love really worth it? Does love even exist at all? Or are people just going through the motions, pretending love means something when it doesn't? I know my mom loved me. At least until I told her about my dad's affair. And she adored my dad. I don't think he adored her, though. Maybe he did once, when they were younger. But that would have been a while ago. He's already moved on, but my mom, she never did. At the end of the day, is that what love really is? Is it waiting for the person you care about most in the world to leave you behind? Noah fell silent as he processed these questions. His expression was a pensive one, his brow furrowed. He wouldn't have blamed him if he waved these queries aside. It was late at night, and this conversation was rather intense, but Noah didn't fail him. Noah never had. I think love can be messy, but if you find the right person, then it can be real. You can't give up on something just because it might end one day. But what if it's already ended, and you're holding on to something that isn't there anymore? Kaine stared at Noah, desperation once again swelling up inside him. He wanted Noah to reassure him, to tell him that things hadn't ended between them, and that they never would end between them, but maybe it's just time to let go and move on. Kaine winced. Noah's words had hit him like a sledgehammer, and Noah, realizing this, had hastened to console him. I'm really sorry about your mom and dad, but maybe they'll be happier this way? I'm not so sure about that. You didn't see the way my mother cried. I know I'm supposed to be the optimistic one, but just this once, I don't see how any good can come of this. Kaine didn't say this, however. Abject negativity would have been a poor way to repay Noah for letting him take refuge in his bedroom so late at night, especially when he was getting his sheets wet. Yeah, I know you're right. I'm sorry, I'm scared, I guess. I'm scared of being alone. I'm scared that Luca was right and you'll be disgusted if you find out how I feel about you. I'm scared you'll abandon me. It's just, this happened, and then a lot of other things happened too, and it feels like I'm being buried alive, all on my own. I get that, but you're not on your own. I'll always be here. Always, huh? That's quite a big promise. I'll hold you to that, Noah. I hope so. Oh, that was the promise that he was talking about that Noah didn't keep. Dang, it ruined nerd. Kaine's reply when it finally came was sad. Was a sad, feeble thing, one which was so quiet it was hardly audible above the sound of the rain falling. Outside, beyond Noah's darkened window, the storm continued to rage and the thunder rumbled. Kaine turned his back on Noah and then squeezed his eyes tightly shut. He drew his legs back against his chest, beneath his chin, like a small child seeking shelter. He wound his arms about them. Oh, Mom. He's like out in this really terrible thunderstorm. He didn't even care to figure out where he is. He's literally across the street, too. Then, when he tried to will himself to fall asleep, he didn't want to be awake anymore. Not when he felt so very awful. In that moment, being alive felt much too painful. It rained intermittently all night in fits and bursts. Kaine slept a little during this downpour, curled up in bed beside Noah, but his sleep was uneasy and full of splintered dreams. Dang. Sorry, King. It was still dark when Kaine woke up. Okay. We're just gonna keep going. This is actually, normally when I say it's gonna be a long episode, it's like one video cut into two. Let me just get into this real quick. I have decided in the middle of this video that the Dreambound episodes are just gonna be so much longer because I feel like I never get anything done. I feel like we sit here and nothing ever happens. So at least this has been a tea-filled episode. I feel like we've done a lot. So I might try to cut them 2 hours, like 1:30 to 2 hours. Because I can, and whatever. I like long videos. You can, this is a visual novel. You can just put it on, clean your house, take a bath. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Eat, make food, watch a few minutes, come back to it another time. That is up to you. I don't care. This is your life. You live it. But that's the decision I've made because I just feel like I don't make enough progress, and it's either because I read slow or because I yap. So I just want to give everyone more content because I'm enjoying this now. I'm not trying to solve a mystery because I'm too dumb, but I'm enjoying Kaine. I love hearing about Kaine. It's my fave. Yippee yippee! It was still dark when Kaine woke up. He could no longer hear the thunder, but it was still raining just barely. The light drizzle which doused the darkened streets with water. Kaine sat up in the bed. His head was aching and he felt groggy. He rested a hand to his temple, which throbbed. How ironic. I wanted to sleep beside Noah for years, and now I finally got the chance, and I can't even enjoy it. That must have been the worst night's sleep I've had in months. Kaine smiled wryly, then glancing at Noah. Noah was an anxious, highly strung person, even at the best of times, but he looked surprisingly peaceful in slumber. He hadn't stirred at all, not even when the sheets had shifted around him. His eyes were closed and the lashes matted. His lips were pursed. Often Noah looked on edge while he was awake, tense and twitchy, but a lot of his ever-present agitation had vanished in sleep. It was almost as if his worries had slipped from his shoulders in sleep, and a scarf unraveled after coming home from a bracing wintry walk. The rain, which continued to beat outdoors, could not reach Noah in his sleep. He was dead to the world. At least one of us looks happy. I'm glad he's sleeping so peacefully, but Kaine surveyed him for a moment, allowing himself a small smile, one which was half hidden by the shadows. His smile did not last, however. Nothing seemed to last in this world, not recently. Kaine's parents were a prime example of that. Kaine wanted to stay longer, but he felt he had spent too much time with Noah already. He was being an imposition. It was funny, though. Kaine had never felt that way about Noah before. Now, however, he won't want me to hang around, not all night. It was nice of him to agree to let me stay and listen to me ramble, but I'm sure he has other things he'd rather be doing. He is asleep. I think he's doing exactly what he wants to be doing. I bet he'd rather be with August. Baby, he is, I'm telling you, he's fine. He's fine. He is the kind of rat-ass nerd that he would tell you if he doesn't want you to be there. Trust. I can't blame him for it, really. August is fantastic. Kaine sighed. He remembered what Luca had said earlier that day in the hallway, and a comfortable coldness seized him. It felt like his intestines had been tied into a knot. Noah doesn't know how I feel about him. He thinks we're just friends. He has no idea what runs through my head when we're together. He has no idea how much I like him, nor how long I've liked him. If I was more normal about this, there wouldn't be any issue with us spending time together, but Luca was right. He'd be freaked out if he knew about this, especially now that he's dating August. There's no way he'd want to share a bed with me if he knew the truth. I don't want to keep lying to him, not when he's being so good to me. I don't want to take advantage of his kindness, so I need to leave. All of a sudden, it seemed imperative that he get out of Noah's bedroom, away from his sleeping body as quickly as possible. I never should have come here. What was I thinking? Kaine rose from Noah's bed, animated by an anxious, nervy sort of energy. I've never seen nervy. Well, I've seen it, but not in this context. It's so funny. He pulled on his shoes and he'd kicked off by the window. Then he reached for the latch. He unlocked it, his fingers moving deftly in the dark, illuminated by the moon's pale light. The large window opened easily, without any resistance. A cool breeze rushed forward to meet Kaine, rumpling his hair. He stood by the windowsill for a few moments, torn, wanting to return to Noah's side, but knowing that he couldn't. He chanced a brief glance at Noah from behind his shoulder and saw how Noah slept soundly, obscured by the darkness, and then he departed. He let himself out the window with a cat-like stealth, which was surprising given his build. He dropped down in the garden softly, the damp grass crunching beneath the soles of his sneakers, and then he headed off. This poor kid, man. This poor kid. This whole time it's just been... Poor Kaine. That's how I felt this whole time. It's just, I feel bad for Kaine. Kaine wandered through the darkened street, his hands jammed into his pockets. The rain continued to fall around him, but he hardly felt it. It was only light rain, more a fine mist than anything else. The rain should stop soon enough in time. A quick glance at his phone told Kaine it was 5:45. In 15 minutes the sun would start to rise. A new day would be upon him, and the puddles of rainwater which had scattered in the streets would evaporate. In time, it would be as though his dreary, rainy night had never happened. But Kaine knew he would never forget about it. He would never forget this day. His parents' relationship had fallen apart, and now he feared his own friendship with Noah would follow suit. What would he... Huh? What would he do if Luca told him how he felt? What would he do if Noah rejected him? Kaine didn't want to contemplate it. But contemplate it he did. He couldn't help himself. He walked and walked and walked, without any particular destination in mind. The rain continued to fall around him, drumming against the crown of his head, his back, and his shoulders. As he walked, he couldn't help but wonder, where did things go so wrong? My life wasn't exactly perfect, sure, but it was pretty good. My dad had always been pretty absent, but my mom has always taken good care of me. I get good grades, I have lots of friends, my parents are wealthy. Compared to a lot of people out there, I've been living on easy mode. I never had to worry about anything in particular, so why do I feel so bad now? What changed? Kaine rolled the question around in his head as he walked, splashing droplets of water in his wake. But it was a rhetorical one. He already knew the answer. He knew exactly what had changed. He didn't want to contemplate it. He felt guilty for even considering it but his life. It had altered some months prior when he had showed up. Before that, everything had been fine. No, it had been better than fine. It had been perfect. Up until he met August Rivers. Kaine knew it was cruel, knew it was petty, knew deep down that August hadn't done anything wrong, knew that August was the only one of his dearest friends, yet I wish he'd never transferred to my school. I wish he'd never moved to this town. I wish... The rain continued to fall around Kaine, wetting his hair and his cheeks. I wish he would just disappear. Yo, he better not die right after this. That'd be crazy. Chapter 5, yo, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. I think that's a sleigh place to... 3 minutes to 2 hours. Dance. Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna save it. Dude, my throat's cray. Having to do Kaine's voice for several hours straight is freaking grueling, bro. Because I don't have a deep voice. So having to talk in like a low register the whole time, and now I'm just doing it. Boo. Whatever. But, dude, what if it's Kaine? Dude, I'm just gonna keep throwing out theories. Maybe one of them will hit. Dude, what if Kaine is, like, killing people? Because, yeah, they're all people that Noah cares about, but we've seen that Kaine can dream, like, do that dream shit, too. He can, like, dream jump, too. Because he did it with his dad. So he already could do it. I don't know what starts it and what doesn't, but all the people that have died were related to Noah in some way. But also, they were all people that Kaine knew had a problem with Noah. And didn't like... He didn't like his parents. He didn't like Asher. He didn't like Luca. I don't remember who that... There's someone else that died, but I don't think they really talked about whoever that was. Dude, that's cray, though. It's either Kaine or it's Noah. I don't know which one it is. It's one of them. One of them is causing it, and I don't know who it is. Because both of them apparently were able to jump dreams as kids. More Noah, less Kaine. But Kaine, we just saw he was able to do it. This is tea. This is tea, dude. Ugh. And you best believe I'm about to chug some water and then keep going. This is tea. Anyways, that's all for me, I think. That's all for me. That's so drama. That's so tea. I hope you're having so much fun. Hopefully more fun than I am. And I will see all of you in the next one.
Bye.